All right, now let's talk about hard disk drives. So we talked about USB floppy or USB flash and floppy drives, and those are really meant to be portable storage that you can take with you. Hard disk drives, on the other hand, are meant to be more permanent storage that either you install into your computer or you connect to the back of the computer, but they're meant to be plugged in and powered on whenever the computer is powered on. So a hard disk drive is also called an HD or a hard drive, or sometimes it's called a fixed disk. Now, a hard drive is a form of magnetic media. Now, unlike a floppy disk, a hard drive is sealed, and it's made up of a number of platters that are stacked together. Hard drives today can be over 400 gigabytes and can be found not only in PCs and laptops, but high-end printers, copiers, TiVos, digital video recorders, camcorders, and iPods. So you can find hard drives in all sorts of devices. They can store a huge amount of data today, and these magnetic platters are spinning at very high speeds inside that case, sometimes as much as 10,000 RPMs per second. Now, hard drive systems are made up of a disk controller. So this disk controller is inside the computer, sometimes built onto the motherboard, sometimes it's a separate card. Then you have the hard drive. Then you have the host adapter. Now, typically the hard disk and the controller appear as one, and the host adapter appears to be part of the integrated motherboard. Types of disk controllers and host adapters are SATA, eIDE, and SCSI, and we're going to talk more about these. Now, for external storage, there's also USB and FireWire and even SATA portable drives. These are drives that are self-contained in a little box. They have their own power supply. They plug into your computer via one of these technologies, USB, FireWire, or SATA. They plug into the power, and you have an instant, 500 gigabytes or whatever the size of that drive is. You can disconnect it, carry it with you, and plug it into another computer. So they're portable, but they're much larger, not something you could carry around in your pocket like a flash drive. All right, so let's take a look at what's inside a hard drive. Here we have a diagram of a hard drive, and here's the platters, the magnetic platters that I was talking about. And this diagram only shows two, but in reality, in real hard drives today, there's could be many more. Now, going in between and on top and on the bottom of the platters are these arms. See, it says arm for head 1. These arms are moving back and forth across the platter at very high speeds, and then the platter is spinning at a very high speed as well. So here's the main spindle that all these platters are on. There's multiple heads. These heads are what are reading the magnetic platter. So think of those heads kind of like the old record player. But these aren't analog devices like the old record player was. And then all this is on a chassis, and then that chassis is covered with a cover, and it's sealed in a special manufacturing plant that has very highly filtered air so that there's not a chance of dust or dirt or anything like that getting inside this hard drive. That's the reason you can't take the cover off the hard drive. Just the tiniest particle of dust could ruin the whole hard drive. So that's what the internals of a hard drive look like. And these hard drives can be very tiny, and they can go in laptops or iPods. They can be much larger and hold a lot more data. They come in different form factors. They can be hot swappable, where you can pull them in and out of a computer. They can be put in external cases, so you can sort of carry them with you or move them around a little bit more than an internal hard drive that's screwed and mounted inside a computer. All right, so there's various kinds of hard drives, like I said. Over here, this is a laptop hard drive. Although it looks the same size as this one down here, it's actually just the picture. This is only 2 inches wide. It's a very small laptop hard drive. You can see here it connects at the bottom. This is the same hard drive upside down. You can see it connects at the bottom, and it has a tiny power supply connector. This is an example over here of an external USB drive that also has FireWire. So inside this case is a hard drive like this one down here, mounted with its own power supply, and then a USB interface or a FireWire interface. Down here, this is a typical internal hard drive that you would mount inside your computer. Notice on the back here it's got an interface connector, and then it's got a Molex power connector over here. We'll talk more about those power connectors. This is a hard drive that's mounted in a hot swappable case, and it's in a hot swappable case in case, say, it fails in a server, and you want to swap out that hard drive without ever shutting down the server. Now you have to have special hardware in the server to allow you to not lose your data and to be able to hot swap that hard drive. Just take out the bad one and replace it with a new one without ever shutting down the server. But just goes to show you that you can take this hard drive and you can mount it in a hot swap case, you can mount it in an external case, you can mount it inside the PC directly, or it could be very tiny and it could be inside a laptop or an iPod. So all these different ways of using hard drives are available. All right, now let's talk about CD and DVD storage devices. Another type of storage device is an optical drive. So it uses light to read disks. You'll find today that most new computers have CD and DVD drives. These drives can read both CDs and DVDs. Now, much of the time, these drives can also record CDs and DVDs, or create those CDs and DVDs. Many people call that burning a CD or a DVD, although it really doesn't use heat necessarily to do it. But what really is a CD or a DVD? Now, we think of CDs as being used to listen to music and DVDs being used to watch movies. However, both of these types of disks can be used to store data. CDs and DVDs are optical discs, and unlike magnetic media, once they're created, optical discs will last virtually forever unless the disc is scratched or damaged. So optical discs have a very long life, and they're very reliable if they're properly taken care of. Now keep in mind that there's many formats of CDs and DVDs. So let's look at some. The first one is a CD-ROM. A CD-ROM is read-only memory, and the CD-ROM stores about 650 megabytes of data. If that's what you choose to put on there, is just raw data. So what happens is the CD is burned, and then after that, that's it. Whatever data is on there cannot be taken off or changed. Then there's the CDR. CD recordables is what a CDR is, and these drives are sometimes called CD burners. So this is a drive and a media that you can take and you can create your own CD. Then there's CDRW, or CD rewritable. So what this means is you can create a CD, later you can come back and you can add some more data to it, or you could delete everything that's on it and reuse it. So it's a reusable CD. Then there's DVDs. DVDs store 4.3 gigabytes of data, so they hold much more than a typical CD-ROM that holds only 750. So you can see why DVDs are getting more and more popular because they hold so much more data. And that's a single-sided disc. You can also get a CD or a DVD DL, which is a double-layer disc, and it stores 8.6 gigabytes of data, 4.3 gigs on each layer. Next one is DVD plus R, DVD plus RW, DVD minus R, and DVD minus RW. These are different formats of recordable, that's the R, or rewritable, that's the RW. So rewritable, again, can be used multiple times. Just the R can only be burned once. And the plus and the minus have different pros and cons. You need to make sure that your drive can read the type of disc that you buy, the DVD plus or the DVD minus. Then there's Blu-ray disc and HD DVDs. Both of these are new, and they're used to store just a ton of data, and they're really used for high definition video. That's their primary use. But you could also store data on these discs. So a Blu-ray disc, or a BD, stores about 25 gigabytes on a single layer and 50 gigabytes on a double layer. And an example of a use of Blu-ray disc is in the Sony PS3 or the PlayStation 3. It uses Blu-ray discs for all the video games. You can also get movies, high-definition movies, on your Blu-ray disc and watch high-definition movies on a high-definition TV. The other competing standard, there's not really a standard yet for high-definition DVD. The other competing standard is HD DVD. and it holds about 15 gigabytes on a single layer and about 30 gigabytes on a double layer. Now, an example of a use for this is the Xbox 360. All of its video games are on high definition DVDs, but you can also get movies on high definition DVDs. And of course, you can also buy Blu-ray or HD DVD drives for your computer, and then the disc that you would use to burn your own HD or Blu-ray high definition discs.